In a wide-ranging conversation, Johnson told me that one of his chief concerns is the rise of Sharia law around the world.
And the me here was not you personally,
Right,
it was the
Nick
writer
Gillespie.
Nick Gillespie.
From Reason.com. And the way he believes it underwrites Islamic terrorism, which he says is a major global problem and a rising threat here in America. So already sounding like a Republican, a fear-mongering Republican. Surprisingly for a libertarian, Johnson, who recently resigned as the CEO of Cannabis Sativa, a marijuana marketing firm, I think they wrote form, said that he would sign a bill banning the wearing of burqas in America. Let me repeat that. Gary Johnson said he would sign a bill banning the wearing of burqas in America.
Let me put that in a different way. Gary Johnson would sign something into law that tells people that they can or cannot wear a certain thing.
A piece of clothing.
He wants to restrict people's rights to dress how they choose.
It's a violation of not only the non-aggression principle, but also a violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution in at least a couple of aspects. It violates freedom of religion, number one, and it violates freedom of expression, number two.
Yes.
You should be able to wear whatever clothing you darn well choose, as long as you're on public property.
Wear or not wear.
Right, as long as you're on public property. Or private property where those things are allowed. So we're going to continue, though, with more with Gary Johnson, who has already proven right out of the gate that he doesn't understand the ideas of non-aggression. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, and yet, ironically, he, in this photograph on the Reason Hit and Run blog, is wearing a peace symbol T-shirt. Forcing people to not wear things that they want to wear is not a peaceful act, Gary. Maybe you want to defend Gary Johnson, the not yet nominee for the Libertarian Party presidential candidate in 2016. He's going up against you, Darryle W. Perry, and he's also going up against several other people, as many as 10 or so other candidates who are going to be in the race, including John McAfee, who has thrown in recently as well. Gary Johnson saying in an interview with Nick Gillespie at Reason.com, saying that one of his chief concerns, mind you, chief concern for a libertarian candidate should be to implement as much liberty as quickly as possible.
Yes.
But for Gary Johnson, he's saying a chief concern is the rise of Sharia law around the world. Where exactly is Sharia law on the rise around the world? Okay, there may be some places in the Middle East where there are certain people, like, let's say, ISIS, who do want to impose their religious viewpoint on a populace.
But that's not actually Sharia law.
Well, that's true, but they might claim that it is, and other people might believe that it is. But what is Sharia law?
Well, from my understanding of Sharia law is that Sharia is something that you have to agree to. You have to consent to be under Sharia law.
It's a set of rules for Muslims, basically.
Yes, set of rules specifically for Muslims that Muslims agree to. So it's not, a set of rules that one group of Muslims enforces on everybody else. That is not Sharia. Somebody might claim that it is, but it's not. No more than if I created a set of rules that I say are completely voluntary and then I force people to abide by them. That's not voluntary if you're forcing people to do it.
Our toll-free number to join us here is 855-450-FREE. So the fact that that's a primary concern for him is a primary concern for me.
Yes.
In possibly supporting him. I can't, if he is given the Libertarian Party nod again this time around, and they don't actually nominate a principled libertarian, I might just not vote in the national election, the national presidential election.
I'll cast a write-in vote.
For yourself?
Yes.
Our Skype username, LRN.FM. So let's go on. Sharia, he insists, was not an expression of religion but of politics, and hence many of its practices could be banned or limited without running afoul of the Constitution. That doesn't make sense at all.
That would be like saying that Levitical law, which is something that most Jewish people will abide by, is a political thing, not a religious thing, and so therefore it can be restricted, and so then you can basically force Jewish restaurants to serve bacon.
Or force them to not wear a yarmulke or something like that.
Yeah.
Let's go to your calls. Troy is on the line, listening in Minnesota to WNMT. Hello, Troy. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryle.
Hey, Ian, Darryle. How you guys doing?
Hey, good. Go ahead, Troy.
Hey, anyway, I guess, I really don't follow too much of this politicking stuff anyway. But
can't blame you.
I don't understand. I guess I don't really think it's a bad thing for banning burqas with all the trouble and things going on around the world right now.
What does trouble around the world have to do with what someone wants to wear in the United States?
Well, look what they do. They ban people from wearing things all the time. Look what they're doing in the schools now.
Who's they?
The school districts.
Okay.
The government.
I don't support any kind of clothing bans. Just because one government bans clothing somewhere means that it's okay by you to ban more clothing. Shouldn't we, as people who support freedom of speech and freedom of religion, be very, very angry and and frustrated and upset about this?
I agree. But there has to be a line drawn in the sand at some point in time.
Why do you have to draw a line about what someone can wear?
Remember when we were going to school, okay? When you're in high school and stuff, and everybody was wearing like the AC/DC T-shirts or the smiley face where it says S happens, stuff like that, Well, so they banned that stuff, because it wasn't quote unquote, something that they wanted to wear, people having the kids wear in school. So I think a lot of this falls back to somewhat on political correctness that, it's not lining up with society views.
Okay, so there's a difference, and I'm not defending, school dress code policies at all, but there's a major difference between saying you can't wear a T-shirt to school that has profanity on it and saying if you wear a T-shirt with profanity on it in public or on your private property, you will go to jail because it is illegal.
No, I wouldn't defend it, but I'm just saying, though, I think the sand needs to be drawn in the line.
But you are defending it. Aren't you speaking out of both sides of your mouth? I mean, you're saying I wouldn't defend it, but then saying you needed to draw a line somewhere.
There has to be a set of laws. There has to be rules.
There do not need to be rules, sir, about what you can wear on your own body. I mean, come on, this is basic freedom of expression. You do understand the First Amendment, right?
Oh, exactly. That's why when they went around the high school or the colleges here a few weeks ago, and most people wanted to repeal it because they don't even understand what it means.
Well, here you are saying you support drawing some kind of line and preventing people from wearing the things they want to wear in public. Isn't that what you're saying, Troy?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got a question for you. Aside from covering the face completely, what's the difference between a burqa and a habit that nuns wear?
I think the habits have been around for a long time, and it doesn't cover up your face.
Burqas have also been around for a long time, and I said aside from covering the face, what's the difference? Both of them are religious articles of clothing.
Correct. You went to a Catholic school, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I did. So, but
Sorry.
I understand what you're saying there. All I'm saying, though, is that I think with everything that's going on with the Muslim religion, the violence, the Quran, and all that.
What about the violence in the history of the Catholic Church?
Well,
because there was a lot of violence in the history of the Catholic Church.
And guess where it all came from? It came from the Muslims when they were trying to overtake the Catholic Church. This is where it all started. This is the funny part about it is this stuff started thousands and thousands of years ago. And people now all of a sudden think they're going to stop all this? No, it ain't going to happen. So you need to put laws and rules and regulations.
So you want to throw people in a jail cell because they want to wear something you don't like?
I don't think they have to be thrown in jail.
What do you think's going to happen? What happens if I wear a burqa under your new rules?
I would say you'd be politely asked to remove it.
What if I say no? It's my right. It's my right to express myself. This is America.
Then I guess a court of law would have to deal with it.
Well, what happens if I don't want to go to court?
At some point, there's either jail or death.
Come on, admit it. You're willing to put violence behind your threats.
Because if you get a speeding ticket and you do something stupid and you don't pay it, you end up going to jail.
Troy, just go ahead and say you don't support the First Amendment. You don't support freedom of speech. You don't support freedom of religion. Go ahead, admit it.
No, I do support.
You are a liar, sir. You don't even understand that you're talking out of both sides of your mouth then. If you are on one hand saying you support the First Amendment and you support freedom of speech, but on the other hand are saying ban a burqa, then you do not support freedom of speech nor freedom of religion, do you?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, then you really need to take some time out and reflect on your own viewpoint because you are in a serious conflict with yourself. Thank you for the call tonight. I mean, was I not being clear?
You were completely clear. And I think that where Troy's coming from is the same place that a lot of people come from, to where they support the idea of freedom of religion as long as that religion is a variant of what they believe.
Well, guess what? Being a Muslim is a variant of being a Christian. I don't know. I realize most of you people out there who don't know really anything about Muslims besides what you've heard on Fox News or Rush Limbaugh or wherever else, conserva clone talking heads have said to you. But go ahead. Try reading the Quran, and you'll see it's got an awful lot in common with the Bible. In fact, it's based off of the Bible. It basically, the whole point of the Quran is to correct a few errors that they believe were in the Bible. And most Muslims are peaceful and would not